Hi, I'm Stoiv Canetta, and this is my midterm oral report. And the problem I had to face was how to use JSON with C++. I had no idea how to do that on my own anyways. It's something I learned in 321, but I've always used the professor's means on how to do it. This time, creating my own entire program, I had to start from scratch on how to use JSON with C++. So I had to I figured out that you had to use external libraries to use JSON in C++, and so I had to research among a number of libraries on what the best one would be. I compared and contrasted libraries. I went to forums and sites like Stack Overflow to get the consensus on what would be the best library to use. And furthermore, I had to learn how to access the library, so how to import the library within the code and where to put the folder once downloaded. I had to learn how to a way to compile it, such as how to use a special flag. So I also had to learn how to use it. I had to learn the syntax of it, and I was planning to create my own program to familiarize myself with it. And so to remedy these problems, I had to do a lot of research, and upon doing some research, I was able to learn JSON and figure it out. After comparing and contrasting, I concluded that the best JSON library to use is nlomin /JSON, and I also looked at Stack Overflow and forums, and that seems to be the consensus as one of the best ones. And so to learn how to access it, I just had to read their GitHub, and I learned that I had to import certain in C++ the nlohin, and I just put the same library folder in the same directory that I was creating the program in. And so to compile, I had to learn the special flag -std = C++11. I also had to learn how to use it, I watched a number of tutorials, such as from YouTube, looked at examples in Stack Overflow as well as their GitHub. And so to familiarize myself with that, I created a program that would use a temporary JSON file that holds the memory sizes of the microcontrollers, and I just used the temporary C++ program I used to parse that JSON file and print out every value and name, and just to confirm that I was able to parse it. So, as a result, upon my research, I was indeed able to use the JSON, and this proved to be the most to make the project easier, because it's something that after I created a program, it's something that we ended up using for other components of the project. We parsed it the same way that I used it in the example program, and so upon it proved so by comparing and contrasting the other libraries with nlomin, it provided a better reassurance of picking nlomin, because it's just not just me disregarding all the other libraries. Also, the consensus from other people who have used it online have just given me better reassurance that this was probably the best library to pick. As far as looking at the GitHub, that proved to be the most effective way, as the GitHub pretty much told me how to access it. So as far as the YouTube tutorials go and the Stack Overflow examples, the examples I found online how to use the parser, that proved to be pretty cumbersome, as they really to the specific situation where I was using the program, it did not match with their example. So I really had to spend some time understanding the library and to figure out to an extent beyond the examples, so I can able to adapt it to mine. To that extent, some things I would have done better would have probably been to utilize my teammates more, because they also have to use the program anyways in the future. So it would have been faster for the project if I indeed to figure it out, I indeed used them. For example, the the different libraries. I could have, instead of researching all on my own, I could have delegated each library to a group member, and we could have came to its consensus faster. And instead of looking online forums, we could have met together as a team to say which parser would be better. And so by doing all those things, I think it would have saved a lot of time. As far as accessing the library, I wouldn't change anything. If I faced a similar problem like this again, is because it doesn't require multiple people to do it. It was fairly straightforward. As far as learning the library itself, another thing I could have done better is to sort of teach, had them learn it along with me, as they would have had to learn it in the future anyways. They weren't learning it at the time I was learning it, and I could have at least taught them and saved the resources that I used to learn the library and shared it with the team. For any issues I had, for example, with compiling, while I did fix it before we met up for it to be an impediment, I could have reported these issues in the chat, but I didn't. I was intent on solving it on my own. Someone else could have known an easy fix to my problems with compilation, and it would have saved a lot of time. So that was my issue, is just figuring out how to parse JSON with C++, and upon research, I was able to remedy that issue. Thank you.